and you're watching Spotlight Georgetown. You can find us on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. on your local cable TV station. Now, what we really want people to know is if you would like to come and join us to be in the hot seat or to come and help, to edit, if you would like to run a camera. There are a lot of people out there, the retired people and younger people and people that just want to do something different in their lives. They have all the equipment, and now it's HD as of today, the first day. But anything that you would like to do, come on down and they will teach you what to do. They have all of the equipment, and it's an awesome place to be. They have a huge setup down here that you probably never know about. And if you're into computers, that's another good place to be. So today we're going to be talking about the Pembroke School, and we're going to be talking to Carol Jacobs, who is our school superintendent. And when I went to vote last week, I was stunned because I knew there was a school going up, and we usually don't talk about things that are specifically time thing, but we have to do this. I was stunned because I had no idea the school was going to be this large and this gorgeous. And I let Carol know right away, and she said, "Of course I'll come on and talk to you."
Of course I will. Welcome. The town is really lucky to be having the opportunity to have the school. It's going to be an amazing facility for the children in grades K through 6, because we're changing the grade configuration.
Well, that was one of the things. Now, we did an override for this.
Yes, you did.
And so K through 6, and I was reading in the newspaper, and it said to all of the kids going to Pembroke, this is your last year that you will ever walk through the doors of Pembroke School.
That's right. That's right. Because the school is scheduled to open for students in the fall of 2015, next September.
And what happens to Pearlie?
Well, Pearlie will remain a preschool because there is the Pearlie Trust. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there is a document called the Pearlie Trust. And it speaks to the fact that the school, can remain open as a school as long as it's used for educational purposes. So we have the opportunity to keep our preschool classrooms there because the town made a nice investment in 1997 to upgrade classrooms and move them out of I think they called it the chicken coop. I'm not sure.
That's where my kids went.
But to add a beautiful preschool and kindergarten facility. So we want to continue to have our preschool programs operate there. And we'll have the opportunity to have more sessions because we always have a waiting list, and always feel badly that we can't accommodate everybody. So we'll be able to do that. Then we're also centralizing all of our administrative offices there. Currently the business office is there and I'm there, the superintendent's office. But our curriculum director is in the middle high school, as is the special education director and her secretaries. We also have a technology coordinator that we hired this year. We need a place for him. We've now got him in a little office at Pembroke. And Mike Anderson, our facilities director, needs a space. So what we will do is we will move everybody to Pearlie. So we'll all be able to have a centralized network. And
you can talk to each other.
We can talk to each other.
From one office to the other.
Yes, and then the upstairs, which is now the current library, we would like to make that into a series of rooms that the community could use, as well as we would use for our professional development training. Right now, when we have a professional development day, if there are students in school, we really have no place to go other than maybe to close a library or something. So this would give us space where the town could have gatherings, we could have our in-service trainings, we'll have a computer lab there, so that's available. We probably could talk to the town if they had interest in a second television studio. We could probably help with something like that, because this is always very crowded. We always hear about there's not enough opportunity to be on TV. And then space has been an issue, storage space, so we'll now have the storage in the basement again. And actually the only space that really we don't have a defined use for right now is what they call the annex, which is where the roof collapsed, and that has all been really updated and
I've
replaced.
heard rumors about that.
Yes, and there's a couple of things that people have been talking about behind the scenes, like maybe a senior center or something like that.
That's what I've heard.
Which we would be happy to speak about, because there's a cafeteria there. It's close to the downtown center. It's one floor.
They could walk.
We could do intergenerational kinds of things with the preschool, and you can actually separate, the two sections,
Right.
because there are doors. So there's a lot of things. I think one of the things that this consolidation of elementary grades does is it provides the town with space that it hasn't had in the past, and is dearly needed.
A lot of space.
Yes. So that's what will happen with Pearly, and I may look into things like maybe a faculty daycare center, because I have a lot of young teachers having children, and maybe we'll rent a space to a collaborative, to have inclusionary support for kids in the preschools. So lots of discussions that we're having, no decisions yet, but pretty excited about the opportunity that I think we can help not only the schools and the town.
Now, when my children went to school, which was eons ago,
Yes.
they are now, actually my son has turned 41, so this is
Okay.
eons
Yes,
ago.
yes,
There was a building behind Pearly
yes,
that's what they call the chicken coop.
that's right.
And that's where my kids went to kindergarten.
Yes, exactly.
And then the wing was first and second grade.
Yes.
Because I used to go in and teach, I taught math stuff. We taught cooking classes.
Yes.
So they would learn how to measure a half a cup, a cup.
Yep.
What's half of one
Yeah. Life
is,
skills.
Yep.
Yep. Very
So we did
important.
all of that kind of things. And it was great.
Yes.
And then they had the cafeteria.
Yes.
And then it went on. So that whole wing really is very separate. They
Yes,
could
it
do
is.
lots of things
Yes,
with it.
that's true. And so, there's lots of discussions, internal discussions, with town fathers, with school committee, but I think the nice thing is that it is going to allow the town to have some flexibility. I remember when I first came here, everybody was talking about not enough space. Everything was crowded, and
Always.
this, looking forward and having the opportunity to have this new school, I think is not only going to provide a beautiful facility for the students that will attend it, and a community facility that the community will be proud to have, but it'll also provide some extra space in some of the schools where there's been a lot of crowding.
Now I'm grinning because my very first town meeting now I've been moderator now for 15 years,
Yes.
over 15 years. My very first town meeting was in the Pearly School auditorium,
Yep.
and the non-voters had to sit on stage.
Oh, really? Oh, my.
So I had to go for problems of democracy. That was the class that we had to do.
Right.
And we had to go to town meeting. So I
Yeah.
went to town meeting there, sat on the stage,
Yeah.
and we had the same moderator for 31 years here in Georgetown. And my dad was involved, he was selectman, and all the people that I've known all my life. And when I went to Pearly now and I see that space, I think town meeting.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't
that's
think
remembering.
gymnasium,
Yeah.
because that's what it is
Yeah.
now.
Well, it was very interesting. It wasn't that long ago, and I can't remember exactly who the group was. I think it was the people who graduated in the late 50s, early 60s. They had a reunion. And I was talking to one
Beverly
of the women,
Knapp
Beverly
was part of
Knapp.
that.
It was Beverly. I was
Yes.
talking to Beverly.
It was.
And I said to her, gee, if you'd like it any time during that weekend, I'm happy to come in. I'll give people a tour if you think, because I realized that many of the people had never been to the.
She actually emailed for like 10 years worth of classes.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So so there was about 25 people who came, and we had a great time, and I really enjoyed it because it was great for me to hear. Oh, I had so and so in 7th grade, and this was the nurse's office.
Well, that was the high school.
Yes, it was.
That was Pearly High
That's what they
School.
explained to me, and there was a stage up in the library area. So it was really great for me, and people really, I think, enjoyed seeing the renovations and what had been done.
No, when my kids went to school, they were in the L for
Yes.
first grade, kindergarten or first grade. Or kindergarten was in the other building, first grade, and then second grade was upstairs.
Yes.
And it was like,
Yeah.
and the library was upstairs,
Yep.
if I remember
Yep.
correctly.
Yeah, and people have talked about what this school used to be. It's very interesting to
Oh, this
to
used
listen
to be a
the
school, too.
to the dynamics of how everything was. But I think Pearly's going to continue to be put to great use. And the nice thing is, this next summer we're going to be through CPC funds. We're going to be
Community
replacing
Preservation.
Community
Commission,
Preservation
yeah.
Funds. We're going to be replacing about 200 slates on the roof and restoring the dentistry at the top, the soffit, and repointing some of the brick. So actually, if you think about it, Pearlie will be in phenomenal shape because of the repair of that wing. That also has all been newly tiled. The ceilings were replaced. So I think it's in a great shape.
Now, what's going to happen to Pembroke?
Okay, so Pembroke, what's going to happen is we're going to have a kindergarten through grade 6 school. So the kindergarten and first grade students will move over
To
and
the
to
new
the new
Pembroke.
Pembroke, and then the 6th grade will move from the middle school to the new Pembroke. So it'll be
Okay.
a K through 6. So when students enter,
So it'll be K through 6.
Mhm.
So
and 7 and 8.
the
and
middle
9.
high school would be 7 through
Through
12.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right. And and the new school is set up in such a way where the kindergarten is set to the side. There are 5 classrooms there, and then everything.
5
the
kindergarten classrooms?
5 kindergarten classrooms. Yes, 5.
Since when did we get that many
Well,
children?
we have that many children.
Wow!
We have about 1,500 students, and give or take a few in the elementary schools. In fact, the current 9th grade this year was a class of 154 that had gone through, and we have some classes at 125, 127, 136.
I
But we still
graduated
have-
with 72
We
kids.
still have, sometimes we still have the little graduating classes, but I think Georgetown's been a growing community, and a lot of people have moved into town, and they have children, so we're thrilled. But the kindergarten will be sort of in its own sort of wing, and then all the spaces in the middle will be more of the central spaces. The office, obviously, the libraries on the 2nd floor, which will be this beautiful room full of the lovely windows. And then on the ends, there's going to be 1st grade and 2nd grade will be on the 1st floor. 3rd grade and 4th grade will be on the 2nd
Are
floor.
they like wings?
Yeah, but they're all off. They're all off actually to the right side of
Okay.
the center. And then the 5th and 6th will be on the top floor. But there'll be a beautiful gym. There's a huge cafeteria space that will be very bright and wide open, with a stage.
It's big.
It
It
is
really
big.
is. How many square feet?
Well, it's
Do you know?
98,000 square feet. So the current Pembroke,
98,000?
yes, and the current Pembroke school is about 28,000 square feet. So it's definitely a much bigger school.
Wow.
But the space are going to be a beautiful library, a couple of music rooms, an art room, and then a number of rooms for special education
I'm
programs.
still functioning on 98,000.
It's a big school.
It's a big school.
So yeah, and like I said, the construction project right now, I go in about every 3 or 4 weeks, and it is amazing how much has been done. I mean, internally.
You're going to send us photos, right?
Well, actually, on our website, if you go to just the main page, Georgetown Public Schools.
Georgetown Public
Yeah,
Schools.
well, if you go to if you Google Georgetown Public Schools homepage, at the bottom of the homepage, the landing page, you'll see, click on here if you want to see, pictures of the project as it's going forward. And I know the building committee has been trying to publish photos as well. But the project is probably it's ahead of schedule now, so we're hoping
That
that
never happens.
Well, they've really been moving quite effectively, and we're hoping to be able to have access to the building in the spring, and the opportunity to sort of move things over as we're able to. So we'll be all ready to start
school in the fall.
Yes, it's very exciting. We have I love the colors of the building. We're sort of telling a story about the school in the woods, because it is school in the woods.
It is in the
And
woods.
some of the views from the end of the school and that big library, and they're just beautiful. All you see is just these beautiful trees. So the 1st floor, we're sort of using colors that are, symbolize
Earthy.
sort of earthy. The brook. So there's a little some blues in there. You move to the 2nd floor, and it's kind of more the trees. Sort of still those earth tones carry through, because those are classic. They fit all the, they're always classic. But the colors are not really the harsh primary colors. They tend to be more mellow, but they're just beautiful. So the middle floor is more leaves and greens and some blues, and then the top floor are blues and some purple and some greens for the sky. You know, so I think people will be very pleased when they have the opportunity to see it.
How many students do you expect to see in that school once it opens?
770 students.
770.
And there's about 520 in the Pembroke now. Because remember, you're bringing over the sixth grade.
So you're bringing over the 6th grade, and then you're bringing over the
yeah.
younger grades.
So it's really about, it's almost 300 kids, you know, it's almost 300 kids more because, you know. So we're excited, but one of the advantages we think that will happen is that once families and students enter the school in kindergarten, they'll have the opportunity to be part of the community for an extended period of time. And one of the challenges we have now is when you have to make a transition, you know, you're in one school for 2 years and then you have to make a transition. Not everybody makes that transition so easily, and you have two distinctly different schools. So one of the things this year, three actually, by the time you bring the 6th grade over, right? But one of the things that's happening this year is Dr. Tanner, I don't know if you remember meeting Dr. Tanner, but she was the principal of the Pembroke.
Yes.
She retired after 30 plus years in education last June. So Mrs. Margaret Marr, who is the principal of the Pearly, is actually this year the principal of both schools with an assistant principal we hired. And then next year she and the assistant principal will open the new school together. So it's actually, you know, as difficult a year as it'll actually be very beneficial because then they'll open the school with a
they'll meld it all together.
That's right. There'll be a community. Won't be like three distinct different staffs all coming together for the first time in no preparation. So
I have a granddaughter, and when she graduated from kindergarten, they had a graduation.
Yeah,
because it was kindergarten.
Exactly.
And they had graduation gowns, and they had caps, and all. Not here in Massachusetts, not in Georgetown.
No.
And then I know friends that have kids that are in the 6th grade, and they have the graduation.
Yes.
And then they have another graduation out of 8th grade.
Yeah, yeah.
So they have 3 graduations before they get to high school.
We want that to be seamless. We have moving on ceremonies when kids leave a particular building. But one of the things that's going to be, because there was discussion when we decided to obviously recommend building the school, whether or not the kindergarten should stay at Pearly. And I think I argued fairly, you know, very vigorously on that, against that, but not because, I couldn't see the arguments on the other side, but more importantly, with public education today and the standards, all the standards start in kindergarten. And so if you think about it, a student might coming to Georgetown might come for 1 year to one school. 10 years ago, I would have said preschool and kindergarten belong together, but now kindergarten's more like the first grades of the past. So we're very excited about the opportunity to have the formal education for students in Georgetown, start in kindergarten and go right on through.
Plus, the kindergartners must feel like they're going to be part of.
Oh yes.
The other school.
Yes. Oh
yes. This is the beginning for them.
For them, that's right.
Instead of the end
yes.
of kindergarten.
Yes.
And then go someplace else.
Exactly. And the 6th grade, there's always a debate. Where does 6th grade belong? I personally think 6th grade belongs in elementary school. I think developmentally, I think they think they're ready, and in some ways they are, but I think it doesn't hurt them to stay for one more year and be the big kids in the school. And the way we'll set it up will be, it won't be like all the other elementary grades. It'll be special. It'll be the transitional grade to the middle school.
Big fish in the little pond.
That's right. That's right.
When I went to school, it was up to 6th.
Yes.
And then 7th and 8th were junior high school in those days. Yep. And then 9 through 12. And I only went to Georgetown for my last few years, but there was something special about being the big fish
that's right.
in the little pond.
That's right. Yeah, and this has just been an amazing project. It's been a lot of work. I've learned a lot more than I ever thought I would ever learn about building projects. But the building committee and the school committee and the selectmen, everybody's been working together on it. And the town has really stepped up and made a huge commitment. And I think they're going to be very proud of the investment that they are making.
Now, the construction part, is this a wood type construction, or is it a metal beam?
Steel. It's steel. Yeah.
So all the instead of having wood beams like people expect to see in their houses, it's steel. Within primarily
within the framework is
right.
that, and then you're going to see sheetrock walls, and there's a lot of vaulted ceilings in some places, and You know,
So that type of construction lasts a lot longer.
I think so. I mean, they say they're building these schools for 50 years minimally. And a lot of people actually asked me, you know, so gee, Carol, the Pembroke is only like 42 years old. Like, why are we knocking it down? And, you know, it's interesting, the construction, I was talking to some people from the construction companies and our owner's project manager. And they said, you know, it isn't normal, it isn't common to do that.
No.
However, they said what they have seen is when it is done, it is almost always in the same kind of construction we have, the California 70, you know, California design. It was kind of a great idea, but it was ahead of its time.
And for people that have never been there, it's kind of like squares of
courtyards,
classrooms with a courtyard in the middle, and there's three of them, four of them. And when you walk into the hallways, you'd go into whatever grade level, and then there'd be another courtyard. And from what I've understood through the years, and my kids went there, that presented a problem because the heating didn't work all as well.
Right.
Because it was right up against the ground.
That's right. The vents were against the ground. So when we have the snow coming off the roof, you know, we're always worried about making sure we shovel that out because that is the air exchange. You know, the other thing is that design, you know, because the building committee did extensive.
And there's no basement under there.
No. And
so
the building committee looked at, when the building committee looked at renovations, one of the things that they looked at was, you know, how can we keep the current structure, and then, you know, how much would we have to take out? And, you know, one of the things I always say about that building is it doesn't owe the town anything, because really the only thing that's been done there is a 42-year-old boiler was replaced and the roof had some membrane. Other than that, you've got everything is original to the building, including the desks, by the way.
Including the desks?
Including the desks. Those are the original desks. So the way I look at it, and there was issues with seismic. So like there are 22 places in the school where the beams do not go all the way down to the foundation. They rest on the concrete wall, which is not a problem now. Generally, but it would never pass code. You would have to literally really gut the place, and you couldn't go structurally up because of the way and
I think that's what people need to understand.
I know.
This new school is not being built just because we want a new school.
Oh, no.
It's being built for real,
I think we all
specific reasons.
I think we all hoped it could be renovated and added to, because there's so much beautiful land up there. But they said that when the cost starts to approach 70% of what it would cost for a new construction, and it just seemed like that was a more economical thing to do. And when the summer after the summer of 15, the school will be demolished, and it will be. And what's going to happen there is there's going to be 2 fields. So there'll be a full-size soccer field and a full-size, I guess they call it pony size. It's not full, like 90-foot base paths, but it's not a little league field. It's kind of a, you know, and we met with the GAA and the Park and Rec before we did that and said, what do you need? I mean, we're always talking about fields in Georgetown, right? For years, it's an age-old discussion. So if we have this opportunity, we might as well put
so
something
many
in
of our
that's going to
fields
work.
are in places that you really can't function
Exactly.
most of the year.
The turf field's going to help with that. So the turf field, which is under construction right now.
Which is at the high school.
It's at the middle high school, and that's going to be done hopefully by Thanksgiving. That field can be used more often, and then it's going to allow us to go to the other fields and rest them. Because the problem is the fields are so overused in Georgetown, because like you said, they're in every nook and cranny wherever they can be. The fact is we'll be able to have a more strategic way to look at the fields in town.
So for everybody listening,
yes,
and for the people that don't know,
right,
the turf field is it's an artificial turf.
It's an artificial turf.
And it's been funded primarily by the...
Well, again, the CPC was very helpful.
Community preservation.
And then there's a almost $450,000 donation from GAA, and they're continuing to save money, and they're continuing to put money into a trust account so that they can replace the turf in 10 to 15 years. So they're not only making
if it gets damaged.
Yeah, they're not only making the commitment to the initial installation costs as well as the actual purchase of the turf. They're going to save money so that the town doesn't have to worry about if there's a point at which it has to be replaced, how are
So,
they going to find the funds
if they
for
want to
that?
play football and it's raining like cats and dogs,
They can
play football.
That's correct.
And it won't be mud.
In the fall, if it starts snowing around Thanksgiving, they can plow the field off and they can play. Yeah, we won't have a mud.
They can actually plow that stuff?
Oh yes, absolutely. It's
Really?
amazing. Oh yeah, they're looking at that as a surface that you can play on most of the year.
Oh no, that's going to be awesome.
The town. It really, I'm so excited about. I mean, and I do, understand the impact of the taxpayer, and I know that sometimes
So do I.
That is painful.
I pay my taxes.
That is painful. But when I look at the things that, much of the money that they've appropriated are going to bring to the town.
I remember
there's
going to so
exciting
many
things.
Thanksgiving football games
Yeah.
and sinking
Oh,
in
yeah.
mud in my
Yeah.
shoes.
Yeah. Yes. Well, that won't happen. That won't happen. And actually, this year is not the Thanksgiving Day game at home. It's away this year.
Okay.
But next year, it'll be
Perfect.
amazing. And I don't know, did you know Coach Colomer? The school committee recently voted to name the new field after him. So that's actually a nice fitting tribute, I think.
Isn't that nice?
Yes.
Yeah.
For somebody who meant so much to the football program.
Oh,
and
he's
to
been
public
around
schools
since
for so long. Yeah.
He's actually been around since I was there.
Yeah, they said his career was well over 37 years, and he started the football program there, and I met him a few times, and he was such a humble man, but you could tell he just loved Georgetown, and he was just so proud of the contributions that
His kids went to school.
his kids went to school, but he so I'm excited that the town can recognize his efforts.
Yeah.
Very excited about that.
Now, Pearlie is going to be basically plowed under.
What do you mean by plow? You mean
No, I'm sorry, Pembroke.
Pembroke.
Going to
Yep.
be plowed under.
Yes, it is.
That's going to become a field.
That's right.
What is going on with the field next to it right now?
Oh, yeah. Well, that actually, that's actually replacing the fields that were there. There were, maybe people will remember,
like
not that long
a field
ago.
in the front and a teeny field in the back.
Yes. Well, there was a baseball field, and then there was another baseball field, like a softball field. Yeah, there were like 3 fields, different size. And when the Pembroke project was having its testing done, it's what they call the phase 2 test. They discovered some high levels of metal in some of the soil out over by where the current.
And there was kind of a big.
Yeah, it was a pretty
brouhaha.
Yeah, it was a pretty big brouhaha. But we all learned a lot about it, and so we haven't been able to use those fields, and won't probably be able to use those fields for at least this year because once you seed them, they have to grow. So that we've had to do some creative thinking around the playground areas.
Did they actually take the bad dirt out?
They did. So what happened is they have to go down a certain distance. They put this orange sort of barrier, and then they put the good loam on the top.
So all the bad dirt is gone.
So when this whole thing is done in 2015, the fall of 2015, that site will be a completely clean site. There'll be no, arsenic will be under the ground, but it won't be.
So in some ways, this whole project is being safer for the kids.
It will be safer. It'll make the whole site safer for everyone.
And nobody ever knew that there was a
No.
problem before.
No. In fact, there's a lot of questions about it, and of course, it was determined that it was not an imminent hazard, or the arsenic elevation was not because of a dumping site there. It was naturally
It's
occurring.
natural. And that's natural actually all over Georgetown.
Well, yes,
And
it is.
people need to understand that.
Yeah, so one of the things I'm doing to try to help with that is I had the opportunity to speak with this gentleman from the DEP. He's a lead risk assessor for the DEP, and I actually invited him to come to town. So I'm going to be putting some publicity out on that, but I think it's October 19th. I'll clarify that for sure. We'll put something up on the board that rotates around as well. But it's a community opportunity. He's going to come out, and people can ask questions about what is this naturally occurring arsenic mean? What do we really have to be worried about? What is the real risk? How is it different than an imminent hazard kind of thing? So I figure information is power, and I keep getting questions,
Yeah.
so I might as well. So this guy's going to come out, and I'm going to speak with the boards for a little bit beforehand, and then he'll entertain questions from the community.
John, our water has a lot of iron in
I know,
it.
I've heard that. Yes.
And some of us have to have iron filters and things like that.
Mhm.
So some things are just naturally
They
occurring
are. Yeah.
in the soil and in the rocks.
That's right. Well, that's what it is. It's basically
the
decaying
rocks.
bedrock. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Right.
And it's but you know, it's good for people to be educated, because I think when that whole thing first came, it was really driven by a lot of fear. And
It was like,
and we did have a community forum then, and it did really help people, you know, understand a little bit. But you know, when you think of arsenic, you think, well, that's how you kill your spouse, right? I mean, so everybody thinks about it being everybody thinks of it as, oh my gosh, it's a hard, you know, and it is a carcinogen. So you can't just ignore it. But you know, you have to learn about, you know, risks and how much exposure for how long. You know, so as I said, I learned a lot about arsenic.
So this whole thing is making it safe for children.
It will be safer for the whole community that's using the site, because I look at it as, I think the Pembroke School is going to be a wonderful community resource. And then of course the town also approved money to do some renovations to the middle high school, which will be beginning after April vacation this year. So they'll actually start while the kids are still in session.
And what are they doing there?
They're repositioning the gym. They're refinishing the gym, because right now, actually,
As moderator of what's going on, but
well,
yes.
well, I can
Explain it to everybody
well,
else.
I think the when the MSBA came out, we were debating whether we were going to take just sixth grade or we were going to try to do the whole
MSBA being
Massachusetts School Building Authority. They're actually our partner in this. They're reimbursing basically 50% of the cost of all of these projects.
So we're not paying for all of it.
We're not paying for all of it in Georgetown. No, in fact, the 50% of it is being paid for by the state. And so the determination was that taking sixth grade out was going to be enough, because if you recall, maybe people that have been here a long time will recall that the high school and middle school have been on accreditation warning for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's only because of the building, and it was a space issue. So they've been patiently waiting to have the sixth grade come out so that there can be some relief. So when the sixth grade is leaving, they're going to really be repurposing some of those rooms. Some of the special education classes need to be put in spaces that are more comparable to where the general education students are. So there's, you know, I think the total renovation was just under $8 million, and $4 million of that is on, you know, Georgetown's paying for. $4 million the state is. But you know, I certainly could come back another time and talk more about that middle school project, the middle high school project, anytime you want. But I do encourage people to watch the building committee meetings, because they do talk about these things. And so I said it will start after April vacation. Then most of the work will be done in the summer, and that includes a new roof. That's right. That includes a new roof on the school, and fixing the moisture problems. Because the biggest issue when the renovations were done in 1997 is, for whatever reason, there was a problem with how it was done, and so there's always been a groundwater problem. So there's tiles keep lifting, and you can see, the ceiling tiles are bowed. And no one wants to put a dime more into the building if you can't fix the moisture problem.
Yeah.
So
you have to fix the problem before you can fix the building.
Exactly. So those are two of the big tickets on that, and then the other are sort of, some cosmetic things to rooms, repositioning of some of the classroom spaces. And then that'll also finish up in the fall. So there'll actually still be construction in the fall. And then we'll be done.
For the longest, I graduated
Yes.
in that auditorium
Yep.
in the high school.
Yes.
And for the longest time after I became moderator, I didn't know that it wasn't the same auditorium.
Oh.
It was rebuilt.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
When they rebuilt it in 97, they
Right.
changed it. It looks exactly like it did
But they upgraded it?
when I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
They upgraded
Yeah.
it and they made it larger.
Yes. Oh,
And they made it safer.
Yeah. Well, as you know, it's awfully dark in there, especially when we have town meeting when we can't actually see each other. I think the other
Well,
thing.
see us.
Yes, but
I
you
just
can't
can't see them.
but I think the other thing that's important to mention is part of this renovation is that the music program, Laura LaFlamme's program, operates on the stage.
Yes.
So it makes it very difficult for her to run her classes and have anything going on in the auditorium. So one of the things that was mentioned in the NEASC report years ago was that shouldn't be a classroom. And so one of the things that's going to happen is she's going to actually have a choral classroom. So we won't have
For
we
her
can actually use
acapella
that.
and everybody
Mhm.
else.
So we can actually use that auditorium for other activities and for the space it was intended.
When I do town meeting and if I need a chair or something else, I go through the curtains.
That's right.
And there's all the all the music and all the
Yes, because that's what
things
she
back
has
there.
to teach. Yeah.
So-
So that won't happen in the renovation. So.
Oh, good.
And I can't wait to be able to have things to the place where we can actually have the community come in and have a chance to to appreciate the hard work that's being done, but also their investment and how grateful we are for every dollar that they've put into.
I'm going to try and put this politically correct.
Yes.
So for all of the money
Mhm.
that we are expending in our taxes,
Mhm.
those of us that pay taxes
That's
of
right.
Georgetown,
Yes.
for all of the overrides and all of the money,
Mhm.
we are really getting something for not only the children,
That's right.
but for the town.
For the town. Well, your infrastructure will, in all of your buildings, will be in very good shape at the end of this, because your highway department has this new, the new roof, the public safety has theirs, the library's gorgeous, and really the last thing that really needed to be done, is the schools and the town hall to some extent. But you've done some work here over the years, and
And this used to be a school, so.
and this used to be a school. So I think, I definitely think that the town, the people in town will be proud when they have the opportunity to have all these things be done, and they can see that, like you said, the schools represent the town. The town, as far as I'm concerned, the schools reflect the community.
One of the people
community's
that's going to be
value.
coming on shortly is going to be a real estate person. And the comment that I heard from him was, one of the reasons people want to move to Georgetown is because of the schools.
Yes. Well, I hope so. I hope so. I think we're always about continuous improvement. We know that there's always something new that we can do, and we never stop trying to be our best selves. Oprah's term, right? But I think I think having our own opportunity to have our own schools in our own town, and again to reflect the community's values, is really
One of the people I had
Special.
on recently was Chief Cudmore.
Oh, yes,
And of course, he
yes.
went through kindergarten
that's right.
all through high school. I only went a few years. And when you see what the town can do
Absolutely.
for the children
Oh.
of Georgetown,
It's just unbelievable.
it's amazing.
And the nice one of the things I love about Georgetown is the opportunity to work in partnerships with people like Chief Cudmore and the fire chief and all the folks in the different departments at Town Hall. I mean, we actually
Some of us crazies
have
have been
all
here for a long time.
we all, and in the finance committee. I mean, everybody. I don't have this sense that there's this division and divisiveness that I know exists in a lot of towns, and that's why things are getting done.
I don't either.
It's not just people protecting their own little fiefdom or their own little pocket of money. People in this town have been thinking about the town and what's best and right for the town, and I think it's
Especially those of us that have been here for a long time. We all work for the town.
yeah, exactly. And I've only been here 8 years, and I mean I'm just amazed at
I've only been here 55.
Yeah, well, there you go. You're a real expert. But it's been a pleasure
Thank you.
coming on, and
Thank you
anytime,
very much.
and anything I can do to
Anything that I can do for you, let me know.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Beverly.
I'm Beverly Enos. This is Spotlight Georgetown. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Join us. Bye for now.